Good day, everyone. I'm Angela, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, Regulation Update Q1 2025 New and Proposed Regulation for Financial Institute. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, Justin Moscolino. Justin brings over 20 years of wide-ranging experience in compliance, training, and regulation. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you, Angela. I appreciate the introduction, and I want to welcome everybody here today to talk about what's coming up within the next quarter. Now, a couple of things that we have to put in frame of reference here is that we do have a new administration at the helm. So there have been some orders already and probably a lot more to come. So one of the notes is that a lot of proposals that were in the pipeline for Q1 and Q2 are being paused. So what we'll do today is we'll go over a little overview of our regulatory climate and the environment and see what's really where the heightened risk is, because there's multiple areas. One of them is AML. It is on the top of the list every single year. Now within banking, we'll talk about what's going on and the notes and guidelines from regulators. Same with digital assets, because I feel like this is going to be the year that we get a real framework around them within the U.S., comparatively speaking to other nations who seem to be a little bit ahead of us. We'll talk about examinations a little bit, what could be in store for this year. Again, with the change in administration, it could be altered. And fraud is going to be a theme of this presentation. So let's first go through, the current AML environment. Regulators right now are really zeroing in areas like terrorist financing, beneficial ownership. Now, fraud, like I said at the beginning, this is a critical issue right now. It's ranking as the second biggest challenge behind AML, and fraud's evolving. It's posing a lot of threats to financial institutions. And I'm going to keep on harping on the fraud. Now, we're not just talking about external fraud. Internal fraud is also going to levels we haven't seen in many years. So, with the automation or just technology as all, we need very robust technology that, looks at all these transactions and information. Now, with the current sanctions environment, there's a lot of things going on that we need to be conscious of. There are a lot of elections going on throughout the world. So sanctions is absolutely evolving, and we'll see more of it this year. This is more for just FYI purposes. With the beneficial ownership, this was put on pause, and now it's going live and going forward unless the news came out this morning. This is an alert that just came out about a week and a half ago. FinCEN released an analysis of suspicious activity. Now, with suspicious activity, I was talking about this a little bit at the beginning. Fraud is rising. And it means that we're going to see a lot of transactions and cases that we're going to have to file with FinCEN. This FinCEN alert came out a couple of months ago. It was really an alert to let the public really know about pig butchering. So pig butchering essentially is fraudsters pull victims into a situation by scamming them. Now, I wanted to bring up a little bit of international news. Nations around the world are using consistent frameworks to operate in. It makes our life easier because we're able to get information from our counterparts. So there was a UN report which found that casinos and cryptocurrencies have really merged as, a critical piece of the underground banking and money laundering. This is a target. And digital assets, now I'm putting a whole section together on digital assets. If you're unfamiliar with digital assets, there are many different types. Now, as far as the big outlook for digital assets, and also a new rule for forcing crypto providers to compensate fraud victims. Now, digital wallets and payment apps. Now, with banking regulations, this is something we could definitely learn from. Now, also we have the proposal ban contract clauses. So, this is all about providing guidance, violating BSA, AML regulations. With the fair lending and housing rating system, this is not new. This is another thing that came out. As far as banking, these are just some basic, just more enforcement actions. This is just a little bit more information. But again, I wanted to put this in there for your benefit. The NCUA also came out with their annual plan. Now, with part 4, I just put it in here for your own review. Artificial intelligence is going to be a big focus area this year. Generative AI, responsible AI, and having the proper governance around it. And then lastly, in case you work in the ACH arena, there were a couple updates that came out. October 1st of last year, there were some minor ones, but this all focuses around coding and fraud once these come to fruition. But we're looking at 2026 for the next major release, but there's others that could come to fruition. With that being said, I am ready for questions. The only thing I'll say is that reach out with any questions you might have. There's a lot more information in this presentation than you probably need, but depending on what regulatory body you report to, it could be helpful.
So that concludes all the session for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead, Justin. You too.